Okay, to begin the reassembly. Okay, so this part here, you can just see a little slider there which holds the jewel in place, and there's a through-hole jewel underneath there, and on top of it, in the back of the slider, there's a cap jewel. So both of those have been cleaned. Okay, the Fusee chain, as you can see, has slightly different ends. There's an end that looks like this, which goes onto the drum, and then on the other end, let's bring it in focus, and then on the other end you've got a more rounded hook which goes onto the Fusee cone. If you look along the rim, you will see that there is the end of a pin. You can only just see it, it's very small, and you can just see the recess there where the tweezers are, and in that recess, which is very very fine, that's where you put that end. Okay, so wind the Fusee cone with the chain following the snail pattern of ridges on it so that it looks like this. Okay, so put the Fusee cone back on along with the drum, and then you want to rotate the drum until you see that little notch just there, and that is where your chain goes. So I should just point out that this represents the fully wound position of the clock. So obviously your spring is discharged and it's not fully wound, so we've got to reverse it. You can try and wind the chain around the drum by hand, and it does kind of work if you use a little bit of tape, but it's a bit tricky, and it's probably easier to do it this way because you run the pivots there. Okay, so that is pretty tricky. When you've finished, you should end up with a chain just coming off the pivot which holds it onto the Fusee cone there. Okay, so now we put the rest of the cogs back in, because we can't tension this as it is. Okay, then we have the second wheel. There's a very long pivot on this for the second hand of the dial. Then we've got the escape wheel. Now the pallet fork actually does go here, but I'm going to attach it to the top part because there's a little ledge on it, which I'll show you. Okay, so because of this ledge, it is difficult to push the top down onto the pallet fork. So I'm going to put the pallet fork onto this part and then put a little bit of plasticine on it at the edge, which is actually what I've seen other people doing, so I hope they're right. Like so. Okay, so to do this next part, this is difficult to show on camera, but what you've basically got to do is you've got to crouch down so that you can have your head at the same level as the clock, and you need to look through it from the side and try to get all the pivots in place. That's difficult to show on camera, but I'll show you when it's done. Okay folks, that's the end of this little video. Thanks very much for watching, folks.